The Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, has moved to court seeking to have the electoral agency compelled to present to Parliament a list of nominees that conforms to the gender principle. FIDA has sued speakers of the National Assembly and Senate, as well as the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and the Attorney General, while protesting lack of legislation on the gender principle. FIDA argues that Kenya lacks legislation to implement the gender rule, which stipulates that any elective or appointive body should not have more than 2/3 of its members from one gender. FIDA claims the gender rule applies to representation in the National Assembly and Senate, yet timelines for enacting necessary legislation had been largely ignored. Well, and to discuss that further, joining me in studio now is Teresa Omondi Adaitan, who is the Executive Director of FIDA Kenya. Teresa, thank you very much for coming in to just let us understand how far this fight for the gender rule is so far. So what are your arguments this time round?
I think our arguments are still steady and fast. The same thing we've said many years back is the same thing we are saying now, but actually asking the institutions or the authorities that are responsible to respond. Our issue has always been that Kenyans in 2005 voted for our constitution, went for a referendum, we voted for a constitution that says whenever we have a parliament, it should not have more than 2/3 of the same gender. And in this situation, women are the lesser ones. So we have just been saying, please implement that part of the Constitution. It's an equal provision of the Constitution, just like any other. So if we can be able to implement various parts of our Constitution, we can as well implement that section of the Constitution. So this time round, we are also holding IEBC responsible, because the last elections, one of the challenges we had was that, this has to come from the party list. The names have to be there in advance. So we're saying you had the opportunity to ensure the list had at least obeyed the 2/3 gender rule, so that by the time we were going for elections, we had enough women running for different positions. That did not happen, because even if you look at the ones who were gazetted for elections, it didn't happen. So elections have come, and obviously then we wouldn't have met the 1/3. So we are saying, now that you have the opportunity for nomination, just before Parliament starts its business, please comply to the Constitution.
But Teresa, this is a conversation that has been there for such a long time.
Yes.
It was a struggle that was there with the 11th Parliament. We are expecting the 12th Parliament to be sworn in about 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
Are you taking any different approach? What do you think you will do this time round to ensure that this principle is respected?
First and foremost, like I've said, we've enjoyed also IEBC, which also has a very critical role. We actually also have looked at it and thinking, okay, political parties too, everyone who had a role to ensure that these numbers were met are going to be enjoined in the suit. But the strategy can only still be through the courts first. But we are also open and willing to discuss with the various institutions, like the Attorney General. We are ready to provide a bill with a methodology if that's the challenge. But I don't think that's the challenge, because in the last Parliament, they had almost 17 options of how to achieve these numbers. But we are going back to the simple option, just add the numbers. The women are there, they're in the political parties. Some of them, we already even had challenges at the political tribunal of women who had been shortchanged. So these women are there. Qualified women are there. So you have a place to pick up from. And of course, this will work with also various advocacy mechanisms. We are calling out on women this time round to, together, let's speak in one voice. Speak to that member of parliament that you voted for. Speak to the woman representative and tell her, when this bill comes to parliament, be present. Speak to, like all the legislatures, and tell them you have to be there when this is being debated. Yes.
But looking at the case that you filed in court, what is the end game plan for you? What do you expect that will come out of the courts?
To be honest, we really have a lot of faith in our judiciary, and they have actually not failed us before. They've given these orders, including early this year in January, where Honorable Mativo gave an order and gave 60 days that they should be able to implement this. But Parliament again was...
they were smarter.
They were smart enough to just ensure that at that 60 days was actually when they're also going on recess to go for elections. So now you're saying already there's an order. So it's not even a matter of saying we do not have an order. There is a legislation. We all remember Duale came up with a legislation, and it actually only got defeated for lack of quorum.
Yeah.
So we are now calling for all these things. This time round, for a long time it was, we don't have the methodology. How will we achieve it? The government spent so much money, taxpayers' money, in asking the public for the opinion, and the public gave them how you can achieve. They had this opportunity to achieve it before 2015. 2013, they had the opportunity, and now 2017 is here.
Are you in any way hoping that the swearing in of the 12th Parliament won't happen if at all it does not respect the gender principle?
Actually, for FIDA Kenya, we are saying it is fine. You have to get sworn in, because you then have to have members of Parliament
to pass the bill. Yeah.
Because then there would be no one to pass the bill. But you're saying the first order of business should be to pass that bill, so that first you are constitutional, because the minute you try to engage in any other business, then you're engaging in that business as an unconstitutional parliament, because you have not attained the numbers that are supposed to be in parliament. So first make yourself constitutional, legit, then now you can continue with other orders of the day.
Some of the arguments that have come out from the male people or the men in parliament has been that, why can't women work hard and just get their seats the way every other woman works hard and gets their seats? And that's why there's always been the issue of lack of quorum. And in some instances, even women don't show up for this debate in parliament.
Okay, several issues have come up with that question, and I could add for you another as I answer. And there are those who are also saying Kenyans had a choice to choose whoever they chose, and that's the person they chose. Now, there are various issues to it. One and foremost is, we all know we are still a patriarchal society. Culturally, we are still having challenges with accepting women. Without an affirmative action, without telling a community, give this woman a chance. And that's what affirmative action actually means. It's not what people are saying, silver plate, just sit and be given. No, we're saying she has come out, she has told you her priorities, she has told you what she's capable of, she has the qualities. Give her a chance. There are some communities that never even thought a woman can lead. Like now, I can tell you, we are very proud of Leusuda. Samburu is one society that has really now grown, When she was nominated, which is an affirmative action, given the opportunity, she worked hard and she showed the community a woman can lead. So she moved to the next step. Now we have an MP and a woman rep. Those are two women in Samburu community. That's what we're actually saying. With this affirmative action, it's not forever. It's just probably for 2 terms, elective terms. That's actually what the Duale bill was proposing. For 2 terms, after that, there's no more action, affirmative action. And the women know. So that if you come in as a nominated woman, make sure next election, you get an elective seat, because you will have been given an opportunity. Secondly, is that in as much as we say women can fight, we all know. We had a documentary just before elections as FIDA Kenya, which was aired on live TV. And even hearing Laboso saying, the first question I was asked is, you're not married here, what are you doing? You're not a woman of this place. Who asks men that? So she first has to struggle to explain to people that it is okay, I'm not married here, but I can give you proper leadership. I come from a county where the woman rep is actually from a different community, but she got it in the Busia County. Reason being that at the end of the day, people then get to understand that it's not about which community this woman comes from. It's not about which tribe she is, whether she's married or not, but she can provide leadership. But it's only through affirmative action that a society that is so cultured and think it's only men who can lead, it's only affirmative action that can change that.
What would you say has been the hugest stumbling block to achieving this gender principle in this country, especially after the new constitution in 2010?
Political will. I can assure you, if the next president of this nation says, we give these women this law, they've asked for it for a long time, it shall happen. The last time he did that, he promised actually on national radio. We had, I was in Kericho and I was so excited. I said, President Uhuru has actually said members of parliament get there and vote. But when they got to parliament,
it's another difference.
The members of parliament were not there. And when we sent them a text, wherever they are, like, please, we know our bill is coming in the next 1 hour. Please be in parliament. They went all over saying, we have been threatened by FIDA. Now we are not going. It was just an excuse. But the truth is, if they were there and they passed a bill just slightly before the 2/3 bill was called, why did they walk out? the male members of parliament, because even if we have all the 47 sit in parliament, you ask me that question, like what happened to the 47? Even if all the 47 are there, they're not majority enough to pass a bill. So we still just need goodwill from them, though we have male members of parliament who stood with us. Yes.
So if it doesn't work out with the courts, what next?
Like I said, we will really have to remind the country that that parliament is not a constitutional parliament. And first, we are hoping that the courts will listen to us and give us a positive. Actually, I don't see the court going any other way. The Supreme Court, the Supreme Court ruled over this. Mativo Honorable Mativo said, you are unconstitutional, please be constitutional. I'm seeing the same court pronouncing the same, but this time around, we are not asking that, please, give us we are saying, before you start your business, can you be constitutional first?
All right.
And we know how you can be. IBC has a list of many women in their docket somewhere. They can bring that list and you'll choose many. We need 41 women. Yes.
All right. We'll see how that goes.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for coming in. Just help us understand what really is next for FIDA and for the gender principle that has been fought for a very long time. Teresa Omondi Aditan is the executive director of FIDA, which is the Federation of Women Lawyers in the country. And that case, as she says, is already in court. So we'll be closely following up on that to just see